All right, welcome back. This is Two Idiots Doing a Sports Podcast. I am Daniel and co host Nate on the other side. Um, Once again, we think we're better than any ESPN analysts, um, other than Dan Orlovsky, because he actually has some pretty good takes. So,
Verlander's trash. Verlander's trash.
and we talk about MLB, NHL, college football, which unfortunately has ended. Sad news. So we won't have a lot going for that one here soon. So we may see a little bit more NFL and other sports kind of creep into that. But for now, the NHL is riding strong, which is a-okay with us because NHL is probably the greatest sport. Anyways,
And there's
so
a salary cap.
That's fair. We will get to that later. But we're going to start with our top 10 most hateable teams in sports. So this is any sport that you can think of. We're not just limiting ourselves to football, NHL, MLB. It is everyone that we hate. So Nate is the one that came up with this one, so I'll let him kick this off.
That's really bad. I haven't written any of this down. Like the second I should have written some of this down. So I actually have to process like a team I despise now. Um, you know what? Um, I'll start off number 10. The Chicago White Sox. Um, Most people will be like, nah, that doesn't make any sense. But for where I grew up, a lot of White Sox fans like to think they're different by rooting for the team in the ghetto. As you experienced driving home from that one game, it's not it's not the worst area, but if you don't know what you're doing and it's night, not a great area. But really just more personal biases because of where I grew up, and I will say as we get into the salary cap later, part of it I will admit there are teams that are just way too cheap to spend money, and the White Sox are one of them. Andrew Benintendi is their biggest contract ever. That is embarrassing. It's not even 100 million. It's barely even 80 something. So I think for those reasons, I really don't like him. The crazy thing is I know a couple people that work there too. So I got a vendetta against them, I guess. So are we switching back and forth, or did we both have a?
I mean,
Did you have?
if you want, we can switch back and forth. That's
I,
fine with me.
I think switching back and forth. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. Number 10, we're going to put the Oakland A's, and I don't think it has anything to do with the team. It's everything, it's kind of to do with the owner. Love the fans out in Oakland. Rest in peace. Wish you guys could keep your team. Unfortunately, your scumbag of an owner did what he did, and then this offseason decides to go out and spend the biggest contract ever in A's history, which is only $60 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I'm going to put Oakland at 10, not because I hate the team, I hate the owner.
Yeah. Makes sense. My number 9. It's might be a little low, especially for hockey fans. I'm gonna throw on Toronto. Honestly, they're one of those teams like same with the Cowboys, where it just depends who's in the room. So like if I'm watching football with you, great. I'll root for the Cowboys. But if the Cowboys, I'm with Cowboy haters, I'll mess around and hate on them. I don't really have anything personal against them. It's just fun to hate on Toronto. It is a lot of fun to clown on them, and I will say, the biggest issue I have with them more than anything is not it's their fan base, but not for the reasons people think. When you go to the games, from what I've heard, most boring atmosphere ever. They're just a bunch of businessmen. They take the game very seriously, which I get that, I respect that, but when you're the market size of what you are, and uh, the history you have, and you're known as a boring fan base, I just can't respect that. It's one thing to be Eagles fans. We'll get to them in a minute, but it's another thing to be boring and be a large market team in your sport. So for those reasons, they're my number 9, and on top of the fact that it's fun to clown on them. So
Yeah, I'm gonna say my number 9 most hated team will also go into the hockey area, and I'm gonna say the Vegas Golden Knights. As
Wow.
a Stars fan, I do not like them. I think that's just because we have postseason history, and that heats a rivalry right up. I also hate the fact that they take advantage of the long-term IR thing, whatever you want to call it, rule. 2 years in a row, Mark Stone or someone has gone onto the long-term IR right as the trade deadline is coming on, is out, and then miraculously is healed when playoffs come around. Now, do I think the long-term IR thing should be a rule? Absolutely, because there's players like Tyler Sagan right now who have been out since week 3, week 4, and will be out the whole year. And I feel like you should be able to drop the salary and go get someone that's going to make your team better. So I do like the long-term IR, but I don't like how the Vegas Knights are using it, so that's why they're number 9.
Yeah. I'll cut the Vegas Golden Knights slack just because. One, I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't, because the Blackhawks did this in 2015. Of course, not to the extent that Tampa Bay and Vegas used it. Um, but we ironically put Patrick Kane on long-term IR, comes back in the first or second round. I do think his injury was a bit more serious than Stone or I don't remember who Tampa Bay used it for. I think it was Kucherov and one or two others. Um, so the Blackhawks didn't exploit it to the extent of what the other two teams did, but we were the ones that kind of sort of started the whole mess. So I can't like hate on them for that. And I will also I'll hate more Vegas for it, um, less than Tampa. Tampa got a ton of hate when they were doing it, but they were actually the team that proposed banning initially to do what teams like Tampa and Vegas were doing all together. And guess how many teams said no? 29. Who said yes to banning it? Tampa Bay. So I cut Tampa Bay slack. Like they said we need to change this. They recognized what the dangers of it could be, and despite that, the rest of the league said nah. So I'm not thrilled that Vegas is doing it. I wasn't a big fan that Tampa did it, but like Tampa tried to change it, but apparently the rest of the league didn't see it as a problem. So that's my little insight on there. But I totally understand, especially with the rivalry between Dallas and Vegas now. Totally get it. Number 8, and this team used to be a lot higher, and we're gonna see one of two NBA teams on here, are the LA Lakers. I used to hate this team with every living bone of my body. That being said, I used to respect the crap out of him. I used to hate Kobe. That dude would drive me insane, but he was so freaking good. Same with Shaq, man. But just something about that fan base, and not the only LA team to make this list either. And we'll say the other one, hint, hint, is a lot higher than 8. um, but yeah, I mean, just can't stand their organization. I can't stand their stupid Mickey Mouse 2020 NBA, literal Mickey Mouse in Orlando. Ridiculous. LeBron's there, so my cousin knows I'm a big LeBron hater. But because he had left Cleveland. So I felt bad for them when he left him. That was a big reason why I hated on LeBron. Um, so just I can't stand the Lakers, man. They just drive me insane. But not as much hate as I used to. I hated them a lot more in junior high and high school. Now that they're kind of more irrelevant and poverty, at least for their standards, poverty. I don't hate them as much, but they're still on this list.
Yeah, I mean, I think for my number 8, I'm gonna stick with the NHL. I'm gonna stick with the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
just because I mean it's another rivalry when you have two really good teams that have been good for probably 5 years at this point. You just start hating the other squad, and for the Stars, it's Colorado. Also, watching the Stars game this week play Colorado. Was it this week? I think it was Saturday or Sunday. Um, and watching just the everything they got away with, like it's infuriating. So don't like Colorado. Um, I
give
like
that.
McKinnon, like Nathan McKinnon, but
Great name.
don't like Colorado.
I don't blame you. Um, for me, for number 7, I'm gonna first college team that we mentioned, uh, and it's not Ohio State. It's Michigan State. Oh my gosh, just something about these idiots that really just grind my gears. You talk about the biggest reason I can't stand them isn't even their fan base. It's just their culture. Just 2 years in a row losing to Michigan, and you saw, after the game, they just started throwing hands at the Michigan players. Like, I get Michigan had their moments where they're planting the flag and being a little jerks about it, but the first time Michigan didn't do that to Michigan State. Michigan State just outright did it, and you know what their coach said? He had no problem with it. And ultimately, I think he finally got fired. But the fact that Michigan State's okay with just letting their players run rampant, um, and just hitting players because they lost, just so they're a bunch of sissies, they're scum of the earth. And I won't mention the other thing, but a certain athletic director is a real piece of crap human being. So I can never respect that garbage poverty program. I will always hate him. Tom Izzo, you're a good guy. I'll respect you. But and it doesn't help that Illinois lost to Michigan State in basketball either. I'm mad about that game, but yeah, I hate Michigan State. We're gonna really start seeing teams. My hate's starting to escalate. This is where like the first three, like yeah, they strike a nerve, but like I hate them a lot more when I was younger. But now this is where like, all right, you guys are pushing buttons right now. So that's my number 7.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go to the NFL. This is because I'm not a huge NFL fan. I'm gonna put Philly at 7.
Mm-hmm.
I hate their fans. Um,
Preach.
everything about the organization, definitely hate. Um, I think they just think they're all this, and when you can't even win a Super Bowl, calm down. Um, oh, but the refs cheated in our last one. That doesn't matter. Like, come on. You're acting like you're the rulers of the NFC East. There hasn't been a repeat champion of the NFC East for like 20 years at this point. You don't run anything. You don't run the NFC. Go Commanders.
Amen. That being said, the Chiefs win. I think it's sad to say we might need the Eagles to win because I don't know how I feel. Why not? No. I believe in Jane Daniels because he can handle the refs and the Chiefs
And
defense.
Jaden Daniels, I trust.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm kind of tough. There's a couple here. I think Philly won't make my list because they're just the 4 no-nos you just absolutely cannot have. Uh, just be around me when talking about them. Uh, so man, so there. Number 6, we are going to go with the Nashville Predators. Oh man, let me tell you, another hockey. It's just a hockey team that really just drives me crazy. Um, Mike Fisher, you're the only guy I like, and I know you've retired years ago. And even I only liked you because you're married to Carrie Underwood. I know you're a good Christian guy too. So I mean, really, if you just played for anyone else, I would have liked you. But the fact that you just played for an organization um, that just we've had the Blackhawks had a lot of beef with. I think we ran into each other 3 times in the playoffs between 2010 and 2016. So we played each other a ton on top of being in the same division. So it's just a lot of bad blood. And they're the reason the Blackhawks fell apart. They swept us as a 1 seed, and we have sucked since. I know we made the COVID Mickey Mouse playoffs because Connor McDavid is a certified choke artist bum. Somehow lost to the Blackhawks in that stupid play-in. But I don't count that nonsense because if that, we were literally, I think, 23rd or 24th out of 24 teams that were allowed in. We weren't making squat that year. So I don't count that as a playoff run. But yeah, so I also have a vendetta against them for that. But again, I mean, I respect him. I do sort of hope they get it one day just for their sanity, but ultimately, there are a lot better options. Do not like him.
Yeah, so my number 6, I'm gonna rile up some fans here. As a Longhorn fan, I'm gonna put A&M at 6. You don't belong in my top 20 or
Mm.
in my top 5. You guys are not our rivals. Stop saying you are. Yes, you think we're your rivals. Oklahoma is our rival. You left the Big 12 and said, I don't want to play you. I don't want to be little brother anymore. You still are. 10 years later, 13 years later. We went into your house and took you down. You ain't our rivals. We have more hate for OU, and OU has more hate for us. You're just a little brother that made your little fight song about the Longhorns. Nothing that we say or do cares about A&M. The only sport that y'all are good at, other than this year, is football. And in the past 5 years, you haven't even been good at that.
Cook. Cook.
So, you're out of my top 5 because you don't belong there. You aren't a rival. I don't hate you that much.
All right, top 5. So this is the last team, and even then, I think they probably there's the 4-0 no-nos. Just cannot be around people that root for them for the most part. But this team's very borderline too, and it's an NBA team. Miami Heat. Oh my gosh. I cannot stand these people. I respect Pat Riley. And you know what? Base take, I'm all for Pat Riley versus Jimmy Butler. Screw Jimmy Butler. Crybaby bum. No coincidence that this is the 4th time he's cried and thrown a fit just because he can't win. Congratulations. You beat the Celtics in the Mickey Mouse bubble clubhouse. What did you do in the finals, Jimmy? You got spanked. I know I just made fun of the Lakers for the Mickey Mouse ring, but you know what? I'll take it back a little bit. I'm glad the Heat lost that stupid finals. I'm glad they lost again against the Nuggets. In fact, they got waxed. They got absolutely smoked by the greatest NBA player on planet Earth right now in Jokic. So they're fans. I know I shouldn't be one to talk just because certain teams I root for, but I remember watching the Spurs Heat run back in the day, and holy crap, no fan base leaves quicker on planet Earth when their team is down bad than Miami. I can personally attest to this. I have seen that arena empty out at the start of the 3rd quarter because they're down 20. Fraudulent Mickey Mouse fans, fraudulent poverty athletes that just cry so much. I like their head coach, ironically. He's a great coach. He's always kept them been really only reason they can keep their relevancy and their owners relevant. But, I hate their players. I hate their fans. And for those reasons, they're my number 5.
That's fair. I'm gonna stay in the NCAA, and we're gonna put Oklahoma here.
Mm.
Hate Oklahoma. You would have been higher. Just I hate some other teams more. Once again, as a Longhorn fan, we have a rivalry. I think everyone expects them to be in the top 5. We don't like each other. I respect you though. At
Yeah.
least our games are back and forth. It's not every year where we win. Unlike A&M, we win every year. So, Oklahoma, you have my respect, but I hate you because once again, you're the rival.
Yeah, I respect that. Yeah, they're one of my honorable mentions. But number 4. So these are my no-nos. So for those of people who don't know, these are the teams that you just don't bring up around me because otherwise I'm gonna start venting. I really they just drive me up a wall. And I know I just had an epic rant with the Heat, but ultimately they play in the NBA, so that's kind of their downfall. Ultimately it's my least watched sport by far. So that's probably a big reason why they wouldn't make that list, but they're close. But number 4, St. Louis Blues, man. Oh my gosh. First of all, you had the audacity to beat us in 2 Winter Classics, and not only beat us, spank us. I think they've outscored us 12-4. Thanks for embarrassing us. Not that that's their fault, but I'm gonna hold it against them anyway. Yeah, I mean, Chicago and St. Louis, for people that don't know, just not cities that like each other whatsoever. Friendly reminder, though, Blues fans, how's your football team doing? So, I always got to give grief for that. Even though my brother was a Rams fan until he moved. So, ultimately, I do respect St. Louis. I'm still a little irked about their cup run. That puck that hit way above the net just shouldn't have counted as a goal. Changed my mind. Game 5 is rigged. Um, but I just got to remind them of one thing. Big Brother's the reason they're in the NHL. I'll explain this another time. The Blackhawks literally are the reason the St. Louis Blues exist, and that is not a joke. We literally they were yeah. I can't explain the full story right now, but I remember very briefly that we are the reasons they exist. So rent free, we're Big Brother. We'll always be Big Brother. Even though you're spanking us right now, I respect you just because it's a rivalry. You have a few guys I like, but I hate Ken Hitchcock. I know that's kind of base because I know he was a Stars legend, but he was with the Blues. I hate that dude. I hate every coach they pick up. Jim Montgomery, you're a bum. Should have come to Chicago. Uh, Even though we didn't fire our coach till weeks later. But St. Louis my number 4.
Yeah. The Yankees. I'm putting the Yankees here. That's who it was. You're in the top 5. You've dropped a little just because, I respect your team right now. I like some of the players you got there, but the fans hate the fans. I mean, when you are ripping open a player on the field's glove just to get the ball to act like it, oh, he dropped the ball. That's not how that works. We have replay. We know he secured the ball. He got it. And now, what happened to you? You can't go to any ballpark for the rest of your life, or at least until it gets taken off. So, how does that feel? Anyways, also, Judge, how do you drop a ball in center field? That was like I feel like a 10-year-old could have caught that one. That was the easiest one you could have caught. And maybe, just maybe, you win the World Series and the Dodgers don't do everything that they're doing this offseason. Anyways.
I don't know. I feel like they would be doing even more if they lost.
That's fair.
But it's still a big maybe.
Also, stop complaining. Stop saying we have 27 rings or whatever it is. You haven't won since the new decade has turned over. I guess 2020s, but you haven't won in the 2010s either. So
they didn't make a World Series in the 2010s.
Stay over in the early 2000s.
No.
When you win a World Series, then you can come talking.
Sorry, my allergies are acting up. Only team to ever do it. So, but since you're talking about the Yankees, number 3, what a coincidence! New York Yankees. This is a team was my number 1 for the longest time, but they have fallen behind to 2 others. I always had a ton of respect for the players. Once again, it was not really I hate the athletes kind of thing. Well, sort of was when I was a kid, but I just ton of respect for him. And then A-Rod, screw that bum. But if you just admit you cheated, bro, I think people would let you in. But you're cooked. So, but yeah, I can't stand him. Quit remind us you have 27 rings. Most of them were, women didn't have rights. So, cry me a river. And it was also, in an era when playoffs weren't really a thing. So, I mean, in that regard, it is impressive that you were finishing in first that many years. But let's be honest. If there was a playoff system, how many would have you truly won? Knowing the history of you guys choking in these last 10 years. And 2004, as my allergies coughed up 3-0. So, now I got to be a little quiet because my roommate's a Yankees fan. So, yeah, I can't stand them. And I gained a little more hate for them for losing to the Dodgers in 5. Thanks a lot. It was my nightmare World Series scenario, and I had to root for the Yankees. And the fact that I had to root for them and they let me down means I'll never root for them again at any circumstance. I will root for that meteor strike if that matchup happens again. So,
yeah, I think the rest of mine are kind of going to be in the MLB. I don't think I have another one. The Angels are going to be my number 3. As a Rangers fan, we don't like the Angels. But also you're letting one of the greatest talents just waste away. That's out fair. In LA. Like, come on. Mike Trout is easily, when he entered the league, the greatest player at that time. and had
Mhm.
been for probably a good amount of time until Juan Soto entered the league, Aaron Judge entered the league, those kind of guys entered the league. And he not only hasn't won a World Series, you had Shohei Ohtani next to him and still didn't make the playoffs. Like, come on. The AL West wasn't a like dominant division where you couldn't get out of the AL West. At that point, yeah, the Astros were, in their high, moving up in the world. But like, you have Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, the greatest player currently playing in the MLB. Even with the Angels, he was still one of the greatest players, and you can't even make a playoff with him. The Angels let Trout just wither away, and we didn't get to see this man at his fullest potential in the playoffs, which would have been so fun for the MLB and so much fun for fans of baseball. But the Angels just decided to say, we'll let a great talent waste away.
So, what are your thoughts on Angels in the Outfield, really quick? Do you hate that movie then?
I like the movie. The movie's great.
Good. Okay. I was like, I don't know where we're drawing lines here. Personally, I like them because they took Albert Pujols and ruined him. So thank you. But at the same time, I get it. They also took Josh Hamilton, and he ruined himself, granted. But at that time, he was killing it and stole him from you. But
Well, and then
yeah,
you see Anthony Rendon go there, and
yeah, yeah.
he's not doing anything. Rest in peace, guy.
Yeah, holy crap. But yeah, poverty franchise. But thanks for beating Barry Bonds to the 2002 World Series, I guess. So you did save the world from that. Number two. All right, so the last two you know, but the people might not. Blake knows. I talk about. I will admit these two teams live in my mind rent free. All right. So if anyone's gonna clown on me on Instagram, yeah, I get it, rent free. I will admit it because they do. But that doesn't take away my hate for these two just infuriating Mickey Mouse. I shouldn't say Mickey Mouse because number two is Ohio State. They did just win the national championship. They won it legitimately. People might clown on them for spending $20 million, but I'm not going to. We just 3 weeks ago we were making fun of them for spending 20 mil just to lose to Michigan, only for them to turn it around. Will Howard looked incredible. He looked like a completely different guy.
Mm-hmm.
My hat's off to you, man. I made fun of him for not being the guy that he was supposed to be, and he showed up unlike any other quarterback. So I'm not going to clown on him for spending that much money. I'll give them the credit they deserve. So I'm not going to say congrats because I'm still coping, and that's just, saying that just makes me want to vomit in my mouth. But hats off to y'all. I'll put it that way. So, and thanks a lot, Notre Dame. What the heck? But yeah, no surprise. Ohio State's my number two. First of all, we get it. You could spell Ohio. 4 whole letters. Really impressive. Second of all, your mascot's a stupid nut. I mean, come on. The Oregon Ducks have a more intimidating mascot than you. You have the most pathetic mascot in the nation. Oh my gosh. And Brutus, I guess there's more intimidating names than Brutus. I'm sorry. Stupid name, stupid nickname. And yeah, your stupid helmet, it just looks like a bunch of pot stickers. So I'm sorry. I just your traditions are corny. You could spell a 4-letter state. Wow. And Columbus is a lousy city. It's so lousy, I'm going to be there March 1st. So if some people see this, and you see me at a Columbus outdoor hockey game, you can say hello as the biggest hater of Ohio State in the nation. So, but that being said, my cousins do live there. I'll give them congratulations because I know they are Browns fans and they suffer a lot for that. So I'll congrat my cousins. Every last one of you. I hate your fan base. Your city is not that cool. Settle down. And, just a reminder, Princeton and, is it Yale have more natties than you still. So, and they played in a time where, I don't, the 1900s. They won them all in the 1900s. So y'all settle down. You're still not better than Yale. They are, but let me be delusional. But they're my number two.
Yeah, I mean, I think you know my top two also. Number two is the Houston Astros.
Yeah.
Don't like them. Once again, Rangers fan here. Hate the fans. Um, you haven't been good up until the 2010s.
2015 or
Yeah,
16, yeah.
late 2010s, early 2020s. Like, come on, you had a losing record. Your jerseys were cool back then. I will say, I
They
like
were
your
sweet.
jerseys way better than they are now. I like the burgundy, black, and red, or I guess burgundy is red. Um, those uniforms are great. And your fans are trash. Hate them. Hate your organization. You're about to hit a massive decline. You just lost a lot of players and didn't replace them with anyone. So, I guess good run. Nice to see you for a little bit. And then I think we both know our number ones, and
I'm actually defer it to next week.
we can do our little rant along with our number
Yeah.
one team.
Screw these poverty Mickey Mouse clowns. Oh my gosh. Number one, if you don't know, the deferred joke refers to the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're my number one most hated team since 2021. I've been, on the hate train for a while now. Just, oh my gosh. Initially, it was, I hated how much they were spending and they couldn't win when it mattered. And granted, they ran into the Astros in 17. I'll cut them. I used to cut them slack until all this deferred nonsense. Now I no longer cut them slack. I will say they ran into one of the best teams of our lifetime in the 18 Red Sox. We watched the one win the Dodgers got at your place. Took them 18 innings.
Mm-hmm.
Poverty! Mickey Mouse, you got smacked by Rick Porcello. Embarrassing, bro. Nathaniel Valdi owns you rent free. But yeah, I just can't stand these guys. That I do that since that trade for Mookie Betts. I don't know what idiot thought, oh yeah, it's a fair trade. They're getting out. Alex Verdugo's a bum. He's outrageously mid, and they're was it Jeter Downs? I don't even remember who the other guy was.
I think it was Jeter Downs.
Washed bum. I knew from the get-go that trade was a fleece job. It just that trade made me so mad. But yeah, I can't stand the Dodgers. They found ways to lose in so many different ways, despite the talent they had. In 2023. I mean, unbelievable. How did you lose the freaking Diamondbacks? Respectfully, Arizona fans, I like y'all, but let's be honest. The power of friendship should not have beaten the 2020 super team of the Dodgers. And yet, you swept them. Freddie Freeman, I know y'all just won. I don't care. Freddie, Mookie, bums. Y'all are bums for going. What? It was Otani too. What? No. Yeah, somebody else. 1 for 23 between the two or three of them in that playoff run. Egregious. That is inexcusable beyond words. So can't stand them. Their fan base is so horrendously obnoxious. We know you didn't exist before this. We know LA sports fans. Y'all aren't real. You've lost 2 football teams. And like that, you shouldn't have 2 more. We know your fans are fake as crap. Especially Clippers fans, by the way. Come on. But I won't get into that. But I hate the Dodgers. I hate what they're doing to baseball right now. Clayton Kershaw, Jackie Robinson. Those are the only 2 Dodgers, and Sandy Koufax. Only 3 Dodgers I will ever like. Everybody else that ever goes there, I hate your bum. Corey Seager, you're forgiven. You're forgiven for your sins. The Lord has forgiven you for playing there.
I think he was drafted there and didn't have a choice.
Yeah. For sure. Especially being a good old Texas boy. But yeah, can't stand the Dodgers. Will never like him again. I hope they move back to Brooklyn just for memes. But obviously that wouldn't happen. Especially since they probably just defer a $5 billion stadium there till 2068. So if they did move, so all right, so I'll let you rant now.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're on the same page. It's the Dodgers. Or as I referred to them to you, the LA deferrals. Um, yeah, I mean, they're everything that's wrong with baseball right now. They're going out and getting players that they don't need, and taking literally every chance of another team winning away from them. Um, it's I have been trying to find words for this the whole week, and I just can't find it just because that's how mad I am about all of this. Like, we knew the deferral thing would at some point go away, but the way that it's being abused, there should just be a vote right now and saying, hey, this isn't allowed anymore. I've always thought that salary cap shouldn't be a thing. I love that about baseball. I thought it was great, that teams could go out and not have to worry about, I mean, signing these big players if they could pay them in the moment. Respect to the Mets. You could have deferred Juan Soto's contract as much as you wanted to, but you are outright paying him, and I respect that. The Dodgers aren't. And that's the most infuriating thing about all of this is now I want salary caps because I don't want teams. Actually, let me rephrase that. I don't want the Dodgers going out and getting everyone because no one else can afford to throw out the money and defer that money like the Dodgers can. So now there's really no point to watch the NL because, or the NL West, because there's no way that anyone should be able to beat the Dodgers. But like we've seen in the past, they choke. And I really, really hope that the power of friendship up in Milwaukee or in Arizona or the Padres do it. But my hope for that, or the Braves are coming back. They've got some good players coming back. Strider's going to be back this year. They still got Sale. You got Acuna coming back this year. They got some power coming back. You got they just signed Jerickson Profar. I mean, if there is a team that I think that could take them down, the Braves may be it. But unfortunately, I don't think they will just because of just how good.
Yeah, and one last thing about this, and then we gotta move on. But this is gonna be a longer episode. That's okay. That's the whole point of the rant. I respect the Yankees for this. They always had the guts to pay people up front. They never did this deferred nonsense. If they did, it was not to this extent whatsoever. When they bought their players, they bought it legitimately. And hey, even sometimes they poached off the Red Sox to really tick them off. So I mean, that's smart business. And I'll give the Dodgers this. If they want to win, there's no rules against doing what they're doing. So I will give them that. I'm not going to hate on their owners. They want to win. They want to spend it. So be it. The issue at hand is the fact that they have an insane TV deal. They have just an insane pool of money coming in. That smaller markets, we can't kid ourselves. The Brewers can't afford that. Kansas City can't do this. What? There's a big reason why the Royals in the 2010s run lasted so short. They can't afford to pay those people. You have a short time frame for teams like them to win. So, and once those guys are up in free agency, it's top dollar, and Kansas City's never top dollar. So, but last note, we can also hope another 2007 Rockies happens. So let's not kid ourselves, but those are our top 10 most hated teams. We did go on a quite a bit of a rant there. So we can go into loser teams of the week. I'm going to skip my Seth Jones thing, and then we could go make my announcement about our second drafts coming up, since we don't have a lot to talk about these next few weeks with college football being gone, and the NHL is going to be taking a pause here in a bit too. So, so you want to start with your loser team of the week?
Yeah, sure. Teams? My loser teams of the week are the other 29 teams in baseball. Sorry guys, you don't have a shot. Unfortunately, I had a lot of hope going into the year as a Ranger fan because our lineup looked pretty deadly, and our rotation looked pretty good. But after everything that happened,
It's
there goes
over.
the season.
It's over.
Not even Creed can save us. But to be actually for real, San Jose Sharks, they're actually my loser team of the week, and it's not because of their whole team. It's just because of their goaltending. They scored, I think, 5 goals 2 games in a row against Nashville and lost both games by giving up 6 and 7. Georgiev is the worst thing I've ever seen. I don't know how he's still in the league. At this point, the San Jose Sharks just need to dump him. And then their backup, or who, if he's their starter, I don't even know. He gave up 5 goals or 6 goals against the Bruins, and then 6 goals against Nashville. While the offense is still playing really well. Like, they're scoring and they are losing. Unfortunately for the Sharks, you are my loser team of the week. Not because of the whole team, like I said. It's just your goaltending.
Poor Macklin. Poor Macklin.
Should have kept Blackwood.
Oh my
Should have
god.
kept Blackwood.
Yeah, friendly reminder, that was the biggest comeback in Predators history, by the way. So hats
And
off to
that,
them.
I was gonna say, I saw that game and it was like, I think it was 5-1, and I was like,
5-1 or 6-1. Yeah.
yes, the
Embarrassing.
Sharks have this.
Embarrassing. No, no, I can't think like that anymore since the Falcons.
I wake up, yeah, I wake up the next day and I'm like, how did you lose that?
Yeah, unbelievable. Unbelievable. My loser team of the week, the Utah Yeti. Oh wait, that got denied. The Utah Hockey Club had the opportunity to have the sickest name ever in the Utah Yeti. Shout out to my boy 2BC Productions, a YouTuber that does NHL content. He had a Utah Yeti franchise, won 5 Stanley Cups with them. I thought it was going to be perfect. He finishes that franchise, and the Utah Hockey Club actually follow in his footsteps and name him the Yeti. But no, apparently it's too confusing. I don't know what they're confusing it with, but whatever. I think at this point you might as well be the Utah Ice. But that might be too confusing because, outdoor hockey games might not have ice, and that might confuse people. So I don't know. They might think, oh, is it field hockey? I don't know. But next best name for that, I mean, realistically, maybe Utah Outlaws. What I'm hoping for, what America wants, the Utah Storm and Mormons, baby. But for now, they're my loser team of the week. You had a great opportunity, have a great name. And once again, this whole process, if you're going to move a team or expand, they need to have the trademark pretty much set in stone, because this is just such bad marketing. People are going to have to buy jerseys and own a Utah Hockey Club jersey now. And there's Washington Commanders fans that own Washington Football Club jerseys. It's the Cleveland Indians going to the Guardians. They almost had to do that too. So it's just, when you're doing this trademark nonsense, you got to give it time. Otherwise, if you don't have the name ready, shouldn't have a team. So, but yeah, you're my loser team. My other thing I was going to bring up. We're going to do another tournament like we did a couple weeks ago. This time it's going to be high school football. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll probably go back to one of the years where either me or Daniel's high school was really good. Which doesn't say a lot about mine, because we've never really been good.
As I say, I don't think ours has ever really been great either.
I mean, to be fair, you being bad in your area still means you're probably top 500 in the nation. You're in an insane area for football.
That's fair.
Especially since I've done these in the past. And Texas, in like 2003 or 2005, the top 20 schools in the nation, 18 of them were Texas. Abilene won state in one of those years.
That's crazy.
Ranked 17th in the state, 18th in the nation. So even though you might not have been good, you also play in a brutal area for high school football. You would still smoke mine. You would still smoke Manuka.
I guess maybe in our best year, sure.
Yeah. Oh, I guess it depends what division you're in and all that, and it could depend on year. But my high school's never won state. We've gotten to like semifinals maybe once.
I don't know
Um,
if we have.
but
I think we have. I think we
we
have.
like to test it out. Maybe we'll have to pick each other's. But regardless, we're gonna do 16 teams. We'll just do a clean. Nobody gets a bye. And what we're gonna do right now, we both collectively, we don't both get 12. It's just gonna be 12 total. We're gonna just pick 12 states to choose from because, and we'll announce I don't know if we'll draft them next week or what. I'll figure this out over time. But right now, we're just gonna draft the states we're gonna pick teams from because otherwise it's gonna take forever to look up. So
That's fair.
I'll go first, and then you go second, back and forth. And this is the states that we can both of us can choose from to find high school teams. So I mean, I think number one, you gotta go Texas, right? So you gotta throw them out there. So where you gotta go with number two?
If we're gonna make this fair, let's do Florida.
All right. If we're gonna make this fair, Illinois. Not fair. They're cooked. Illinois is cooked, bro.
um, I don't know. Let's do Oklahoma. I feel like Oklahoma would be fun.
Oklahoma, nice. I think it's really fair to have Alaska in there. So,
You know what? I'm gonna one up you. Hawaii.
oh, I thought you were gonna go Wyoming. Interesting. I'll go Ohio for number 7. I should be written. I meant to be writing these down. Crap. Hey, okay, hang on. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. I should have been writing these down. People, Texas, Florida. I took Illinois. You took Oklahoma. I took Alaska. And then you just took
Hawaii.
thank goodness I thought of that now because I've already forgot about Hawaii. Okay, and I said Ohio. So Ohio. Number 8.
Idaho.
Idaho. Yo. I gotta try to think of the most mid high school football state in the country. I don't know who it would be. You know what? Virginia's kind of giving off that vibe.
Interesting.
I go Virginia.
You know, we need
That's probably not true at all, but
we need a northeast state. So we'll do Maine.
Maine. I'll stick in the northeast. I'll go Massachusetts. I'm just gonna call Mass because I hate spelling Massachusetts.
That's fair. That's fair.
And the last state, the Mr. Irrelevant pick.
I think we need somewhere in the Midwest. I don't think we really have the Midwest. We'll go Nebraska.
Nebraska. Okay. Yeah, Illinois was the only one we had in the mid. Well, Ohio too.
Okay.
So we do. We actually have 3. That's actually the biggest region I think we have collectively.
I guess. Oh yeah, because the South is just 2.
Yeah, South is 2. Southeast is really only 1. Virginia East, a couple in the West, and then Alaska. So actually, Midwest has the most. Well, it depends. Ohio's kind of a controversial topic as whether or not it's Ohio, Midwest. But so we will we'll put together lists over the weekend, and then we'll do the draft next week. We'll obviously have to communicate beforehand so we're not overlapping any teams. Odds are, it'd be incredible if we both picked a team that's the same. So, but there is a small chance that we could pick from a certain city in Texas that we may or may not have gone to school to. So we'll see. But so I'm excited to do another one. It'll be a lot of fun. And yeah, Idaho's cooked. Alaska's cooked. Florida's the only other state here. And Ohio. Ohio does have some pretty big powerhouses. Really, those 3 are the only ones that stand a chance here. But all right, we already started talking college football, but for those that don't know, yeah, Ohio State won. I was it 34-23. I don't remember the score, something like that. Yeah, Notre Dame put up a valiant fight towards the end there, but that missed field goal in the 4th really kind of, was a killer because had they just made that and then score that touchdown, kind of changes the way they could have played that game out. But Ohio State, there you go. I gave a thumbs up. Congratulations. I know I said I wouldn't say congratulations, but I'll give it to you. Especially since everyone was making fun of you and you got it done. So now the first team ever to win the 4-team playoff and the 12-team. So for Ohio State, they just need the playoffs to keep expanding because they just got a lot unlocked. So I wonder if they were the first team to win in BCS. I don't know. I'll have to
That'd
look
be
that up.
funny.
That'd be interesting. But any thoughts before we jump into baseball here?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a fun one. I enjoyed getting to see Notre Dame minutes, a team that we hadn't, honestly, I don't think has ever made the playoffs before this year. And it was a lot of fun. I will say this: I dogged on Marcus Freeman being named Coach of the Year. I didn't think he deserved it, but he showed that he did deserve it. That team was down. I think it was what 31-7 at one point,
Yeah.
and his team didn't give up. They kept fighting and kept working back into the game, and honestly, that just shows how committed they are to the head coach. And so, congrats to Ohio State. I hate that you won it. Will Howard proved both of us wrong. I didn't think early in the year, even after the loss to Michigan, that he was their guy that was going to win it for him, but the dude stepped up in the playoffs, looked phenomenal. And once again, congrats to you. You helped your draft stock immensely. And honestly, if a team skips on him, I feel like at this point you're missing out. Whoever does get him, I feel like is going to be proud and happy that they got him, because I think give him a year or two, he'll be a good NFL quarterback. I'm excited for what this 12-team playoff will look like next year. North Carolina may sneak their way into it, but I thought it was a lot of fun. I think they may need to start the year earlier because I think it ran into the playoffs for the NFL, and they may have lost some interest. But
Viewership for this game.
Overall, it was fun. I enjoyed the whole season. I'm excited for next season.
Yeah. It was one of the best seasons in a long time, especially for me. It just means more. Am I right, SEC? I'll give Ohio State this. Thank you for continuing the Big Ten streak right now. Yeah, now that you can't bribe people illegally, SEC, amazing that teams are catching up. So
Hey, don't worry. It snowed in the South. We're back.
We're back. Yeah, Illinois back too from 1929. And really quickly, this will be a reel. So if you're listening only on podcast, you have to check out the Instagram. But South Carolina fans, suck it. So great year for me. Pretty good year for your Longhorns. Obviously ended on a bad note, but yeah, fun year. Unfortunately, Ohio State won, but good for them. So next, we're going to go into the MLB. I know we just had a big rant about them, but we have a couple things to talk about here. And we're pretty much going to be done because, well, really one or two small things for two other sports. So, but we're going to do guess the team for MLB now. And there are 4 teams. You have to guess what 4 teams have made the World Series and lost. And sorry, almost worded that wrong. Have made the World Series and never lost. So, so they can't be a team undefeated in the World Series. So
interesting. And you said there's 4 of them?
4 of them.
Oh, wow. Are the Marlins one of them?
Yes. They're one of 2 that has only done it multiple times.
Oh,
There's
I
one
thought
of the
they
teams
only
that's
did
done
it
it
once.
multiple times. The other 2 have only done it once. Only one appearance, but won it.
I have to go down the divisions. I'm gonna guess the Angels. Have the Angels done it?
Yep, they're one appearance, but they won it.
Yeah.
2 for 2.
I don't think anyone else in the West, because the Astros, I'm pretty sure, have lost. The Rangers, Nelson Cruz dropped a fly ball, and got smacked by the Giants. Let me just put
they
it
did get slapped. You stood no chance in that one.
Midwest, the Royals lost. The Tigers have most likely lost. Are the Twins?
No, they've lost. I
Who?
believe they lost to the Braves.
Ah, yep. Who else is in the Central? I
I'll
can't
give you a
remember.
hint. You know the White Sox have. For those that don't get that joke, they intentionally lost in 1919. So
I don't know because the Braves lost. Wait, I don't remember. Did they lose?
yeah, recently.
Yeah,
Oh
I was gonna
no,
say
was it recently?
because I don't think they ended up. I thought that they were gonna lose to the Astros, and I don't think they did.
No, but they're not one of them. They have
Okay.
lost the World Series before. I think they also lost one in the 90s to
Okay.
it may have been Toronto. I
Gotcha.
don't remember that, but they well, yeah, they lost multiple with the Maddox Glavin
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Yep.
Smoltz. They lost
Are
multiple.
are the Washington Nationals in that?
Yep,
hmm
they're the other team that's only made one appearance but got it done. So
Yeah.
now they have to
Okay.
find a team that's won multiple times
Oh,
but has never lost. So it's a tough one.
are the Blue Jays?
Got it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I think they went back to back, right? I
I
believe they
think
did.
so. I think so.
But yeah, so they have a couple and they've never lost. So pretty impressive. So um was curious to see if that challenged you or not. And you got I mean you got Marlins immediately.
I
Um
see. I thought they were the one that only made it once because I only remember Miggy.
they won in
That
'97. So they
okay.
won the year I was born.
Gotcha.
Um,
See, I don't remember
I think
ever seeing that.
they expanded the year before and 1 year too. Freaking
God,
insane.
that's crazy.
But
That's crazy.
I think they're the only team that's ever won a World Series and or multiple World Series without a division title. So my goodness, Marlins, win a
That's
division.
crazy.
But
Well, they won't be
um
anytime soon.
no.
They're the
I was
A's
a wish
of
with the
last year.
Mets. But but yeah, so that was a little thing. Didn't really have any of those challenges for right now. Where I did our Dodger rant. Uh we could really quickly I mean I guess we could talk about who the Dodgers signed. Kirby Yates, I did DM on Instagram for thank you for ruining baseball. So thank you Kirby for your service in Texas, but you're a bum now and you're all dead to us. So Tanner Scott to the Dodgers. The Cubs came close. 4 years, 66 mil. Just not enough. And then Sasaki, whether or not there was a pre-made deal there, we'll never know. I doubt it, to be honest. I think it's just speculation, but um yeah, I this whole he makes me the most mad. You said you want to play in a small market. Do you know it's not a small market? LA, literally like the polar opposite. So he
I
was
mean,
full of it.
all three of
Um,
his finalists were none of them were small
yeah,
markets. When you have
Toronto might be smaller for
yeah,
baseball standards, but they're still not tiny. Um, yeah. So, and then the Padres nowadays we're definitely been considered small market when we grew up as kids,
yeah,
but
now when they're
definitely not now.
yeah, now they're
So,
going to spend money on
um,
Machado,
yeah,
Tatis, guys like
and
that. No,
even
not
looking
anymore.
at the Cubs, like, bro, Chicago is not small. Like,
You have two
whatever.
MLB teams. One of them is not good, but you still have two teams.
Yeah. So, he drove me crazy, and then, yeah, it was just those three. Looks like you had just noted those three. So,
Yeah.
um, any thoughts on, uh, the inevitable? How many games do the Dodgers? Honestly, let's just guess. How many games do the Dodgers win next year?
How many
I'll
do they
say
win?
98.
You know what? I'm gonna guess how many they lose. Hopefully 162.
That's crazy. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, the one thing I'll say is they have had issues keeping their pitching healthy. Um
It'll be easier when you have a 10-man rotation.
True. True. Um I think they'll definitely hit triple digits. Whether or not they pass the Red Sox for most wins in recent memory with 108, I don't know. It's tough. That 18 team was just built different.
Yeah.
Whether or not they cheated a little bit, we can talk about that another day. But yeah, I think they'll hit at least 106. But yeah, we are not a fan of Yates, not a fan of Scott, but at least he was offered the most money. I don't know about Yates, but I know Sasaki
Well, and also
definitely wasn't offered the most money by the
no,
Dodgers. So
no. I mean, at least with Tanner Scott, he was the first one to sign, and they needed
yeah,
a closer, so that makes sense. If you're Kirby Yates, you went there as a closer when they already have a closer. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
yeah. He's a
This
ring
is,
chaser, and I guess to be fair, I don't know if he's ever won one.
I
So
don't
I
think
mean,
he
I'll
has.
even give him that, but I still DM'd him and just sent a friendly reminder. He's dead to us all. So
Yeah, and I mean with Sasaki, the Padres had a $10 million deal lined up. All they needed to do was for him to say, "Yeah, I'm coming to you," and the Padres were willing to trade players to get international money, and he said no.
so
So
screw you, Sasaki. Never wanted you anyway. So, to be fair, I said from the beginning he was going to go there. I
yeah,
mean, it's, the worst kept secret in all of sports. Worse than Mike Vrabel to the Patriots. Says a lot because that was not well hidden. As we all know, the Patriots are not very good at hiding things, in particular cameras. Um,
and footballs,
I
deflated
had to
footballs.
do it. So, and hey, the Colts had deflated balls too. Dang it! Explain that. Oh man. So the question is, we had two things here. Should the MLB do salary cap and deferred money, and then we'll talk about a certain Hall of Fame snub. So, should we salary cap? Yes or no? Deferred, ban deferred money? Yes or no?
I mean, this is hard because I feel like teams are at a disadvantage, like you said, with the TV deals right now. A lot of teams don't know what their TV deal is going to look like
Mm-hmm.
with Valley Sports going under.
Screwing them. Yeah.
Um, so I think in this moment right now, yes, there should be a salary cap because when you have teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers who have their own networks and their networks make a lot of money because, they're a big organization, have a lot of great players, have a lot of history, makes sense. It just sucks for the smaller market teams or the not as like big market teams that just don't have TV deals can't now afford it because they don't have a TV deal, and that makes up a good amount of their money, which is what the Rangers fell into this year because Bally Sports is going under. The Rangers left, didn't have a TV deal, weren't able to spend some money that they wish they could have spent if they had a solid TV deal in place. As for the deferred money, take that out of the game. Every other sport, I'm pretty sure, doesn't defer money. I know for the NFL, they guarantee you a certain amount. That's fine with me. I think in the NHL and both and the NBA, everything that they offer you is guaranteed, unless injuries happen, you retire, stuff like that. I think deferred money should have never been a thing. Um, I understand if a guy like retires and he had a certain amount of money left in his contract, cool, great, that makes sense. But if he's an active player, you shouldn't be able to defer the money. You should have to, or if you, I know in football you front load it, back load it. That's fine, because you're still paying the whole contract while he's while he's with your team. So I feel like the deferred money needs to go. There's different ways to move your money around to make sure you have enough. But I mean, if the salary cap isn't a thing, then I mean, front loading and back loading doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's hard for me, and I know another part of the conversation. I'll sort of hear out Dodgers fans on the salary floor. I kind of agree on it, but at first I was like full for salary floor. I was like, it'll be a lot easier to implement. The issue is with the salary floor, you're forcing teams to spend money on guys that aren't really talented enough to make an MLB roster, or you're giving more to guys that probably aren't as worth for that deal. So, yeah, I think a salary floor sort of makes sense, but also sort of doesn't. Um, just because of there's a ton of guys that play baseball, obviously. Um, not a ton are good enough to make it, and it's a lot harder when all of them are going to one team, so or two teams. So salary cap at the very worst, if you do something like the NBA, where you can at least do a soft cap, and then you do a big luxury tax at the end, and then just kind of cap it there. I will say the Celtics have kind of gone crazy, way over that with Tatum and Brown deal and Derek White getting spent, getting his bag. Respect to him, Kristaps, everybody on that team practically making 100 million or upwards of 300, depending who you are. So I know that maybe doing the NBA style wouldn't help a ton, and MLB's kind of already doing it with their whole tax system, but you got to, I think you need to figure out something in place. It would be hard to implement because, again, the Dodgers are spending so much that if you just put it in right away, I don't want to screw them either. As much as I hate them, they took advantage of a system, kind of scummy, but it is what it is. And I don't want them to be forced to just give up half the organization just because the salary cap just suddenly came out of nowhere. I think it needs to be implemented in time. So it just kind of gives them time to decide who they want to keep and who they want to dump off. I know a lot of some of the guys they're picking up too aren't long-term deals. Kirby Yates, it was 1 or 2 year deal, wasn't very long. Tanner Scott's a 4 year deal, so that's a decent amount of time. So I don't think if it's brought up in the next CBA deal to do a salary cap, which it'll never pass because the players would never allow it. To be fair, it's up to the owners. It is really up to the owners as to whether or not this gets implemented. But if you're going to implement one, you can't do like the next year after the deal. You got to let teams figure things out. Let the ease into it. I will give the Dodgers that. You might have broken the league, but I also don't, I don't want to completely screw them over because they're taking advantage of what they've been given, and I'll give them that. I hate them for it, and it's driving me crazy, and I will not watch a single game on TV next year. But if I'm going to complain about things that aren't fair, I don't think a salary cap immediately would be fair towards them. So we'll see. As for deferred money, I don't think it should necessarily be banned, but I think it should definitely be capped off. $1 billion in deferred money is utterly insane. You can't convince me Milwaukee could do that. I love that Milwaukee's the first team we both keep going to in these. Milwaukee's catching strays, bro. I'm sorry, Milwaukee. You're just the first team that comes to mind for me. You're right north of me where I grew up, and you're a classic example of a small market. And the same with Kansas City. But I do think there should be a limit on it. I don't think the initiative should be banned, especially since it gave us the Bobby Bonilla meme. So I mean, I love that. But so those are my thoughts on that. The other thing, really quickly, we got a haul here. It's a long episode, people. We love it though. Ichiro Suzuki, those unanimous Hall of Famer, right? Nope. One idiot that has not been named decided to not vote for him. I've zero idea why. And I have to assume it's something like, if Barry Bonds isn't in it, then blah, blah, blah. Or if this guy didn't get unanimous, then he shouldn't. Some idiotic thing like that. But obviously, a couple other guys got snubbed. Jeter was one away. I can understand that one a bit more. Some more advanced metrics do seem to prove that he's not this insane defender he was proven to be. Regardless, I think he should have gotten it. And then the guy that definitely should have gotten it was Ken Griffey Jr. 3 people. I don't know what you're watching. He played in the steroid era, wasn't even on the list of guys that used steroids in that time, wasn't tested. He was really one of the few clean guys of his sport. My favorite player of all time, my modern day GOAT. Yeah, so thoughts on Ichiro being a snub. I personally think he should have gotten it, even though I think Ken Griffey deserved it a bit more. But 4,000 career total hits between Japan and USA. How do we have two 4,000 hitters in baseball history? And neither one of them's not a Hall of Famer for other reasons, and the other one's not unanimous. Unbelievable. But all right, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, okay, Ichiro's on this ballot. Great. Unanimous Hall of Famer. There's no doubt in my mind. And to find out that one guy didn't vote for him, I'm like, you have to be idiotic. Like, if there is a guy other than Mariano Rivera that deserves it, it is Ichiro. The guy came over to the MLB at the age of 27, which is past most people's prime in the MLB, and had 3,000 hits. That is wild, never heard of, never done before. And on top of that, was a career 300 hitter. And that's with him falling off at the end of his career. Like, this man deserved to be a unanimous Hall of Famer, also along with Ken Griffey Jr., but that's a different conversation. Everyone loved watching Ichiro. As a Rangers fan, hated Ichiro because he was so great. I hated playing him because he always killed us. But I loved watching him because he was a lot of fun. And up until he retired, I was sad when he retired because he was such a great player and so fun to watch that he made baseball a lot better. Same with Ken Griffey Jr. The dude deserved to be a unanimous Hall of Famer. The guy had the sweetest, to this day, in my opinion, the sweetest and best swing in baseball. And yes, I understand late in his career he fell off. I get that. But he also played for the Cincinnati Reds. Poverty organization, can't ever win. So I don't think that's all his fault. And if you look at his prime, he was one of the most dominant players to ever play. This Hall of Fame system needs to change in some way because there are players that genuinely deserve to be unanimous Hall of Famers, and they don't. I think the MLB's Hall of Fame system is stupid, and that so many people get a vote. I don't think that should be the way it is. I think the NFL's is great, and I think that's more how it needs to be done. But one person shouldn't take away from a guy being a unanimous Hall of Famer that deserves to be it. We should just be able to say, hey, this guy's in. He doesn't even need to make the ballot. He's in. Like, the MLB is one of the hardest Hall of Fames to get in, rightfully so, because there's a lot of good players, there's a lot of great players, but there's not a lot of Hall of Fame players. And that's where I understand why we need so many votes, but also we got to get these guys right. Like, Ohtani should be a unanimous Hall of Famer, barring how his career ends, unless he massively drops off. He should be a unanimous Hall of Famer. Mike Trout won't be because of all of his injuries, but I think he probably should be because if you look at his stats, great stats. There's just guys that you look at and you're like, that's a unanimous Hall of Famer, and he should be.
I honestly just hate how it's done because, you don't meet a certain threshold amount of votes, then you can't get in again. So my boy Kenny Lofton didn't get it. Unbelievable. Guy's got like 500 or 600 stolen bases in his career. Lifetime like 285 hitter. Phenomenal player. Decent glove. Off it forever. I just can't believe that guy didn't even get another opportunity because, in my opinion, Kenny Lofton is a Hall of Famer. But that could be a different discussion for a different day. I think it's unfortunate he got snubbed in particular. He was one of my favorites growing up, especially on backyard baseball. But and a really quick shout out, to the other two that made it. Shout out Billy Wagner, good for you.
Deserved it.
He's been waiting for a while.
He deserved
9th or 10th year on the ballot, so it was long overdue. And then CC Sabathia,
who also deserves it.
Debatably the best lefty of our pitcher of our when we grew up. So dude was a beast wherever he went, especially in Milwaukee. People forget that, but dude, I hated him in Milwaukee because he is like And one of these years, like trade deadline, he had like a 1.5 ERA for. He was just killer in Milwaukee, man. But phenomenal player. Um, I hate that he was a Yankee, but he was a beast. So good for those guys. Um, we gotta hurry up. Screw it. It's just gonna be a long episode. Hour and a half, people. Get ready, sit, listen to the cigar. We're gonna do NFL first. And then I'll debate whether or not we need to do NHL or not this time around. But conference championship predictions. If the so it's gonna be Bills at Chiefs and refs, and y'all knew that was coming. Come on, and Commanders at the worst fan base in the nation and the Eagles. So, what are we thinking here?
Yeah. What I think is different than what I want. I want the Commanders to win. I unfortunately do not think they're gonna win. I think they have one of the worst rushing defenses in the league, unfortunately, and Saquon is just on a heater.
Yeah.
So I think that's gonna overwhelm Washington. Love Jaden Daniels. Not saying he can't do it. I think he can. I will be rooting on Sunday for the Commanders, and I really wish they do. I really wish they would win, but I don't think they will. I think, unfortunately, the Eagles are just too good, and I don't think the defense will be able to stop the run. As for the Chiefs versus the Bills, the Chiefs are wearing their alternate uniforms this week. It looks like the refs' uniform, so they have black and white stripes on it. Um, Realistically, I think the Bills have a really good shot at this. Um, this is probably the best shot Allen has. That Chiefs offensive line is not great. Tooney is a great offensive lineman, but he's not a great tackle. And that's where he's playing. And I think you put Von Miller on that. You put some of the other defensive linemen, guys that they got, and I think you can get pressure on them. You just got to keep Mahomes from doing Mahomes magic. He's going to do some of it, and that is
Yeah,
fine.
like flopping.
But you have to keep him contained. You got to keep Kelsey contained. But I think this is Allen's year. If he's going to do it, this is the year. This is
100%.
This is, in my opinion, out of the other two Super Bowl teams that they have, this is their weakest possible Super Bowl team for the Chiefs. And this is the year you've got to get them.
Debatably, well, at least winners. This team might be on par of the Tampa Bay loss, because that team was. I mean, I know they had Tyreek, but that offensive line was missing so many guys that Patrick Mahomes is getting utterly obliterated in that game. So, two really close. It's definitely their worst team since that game for sure. So for my picks, I mean, I just hate it. I'm going to take Chiefs until someone not named Joe Frosted Tips Burrow or Tom Daddy Brady beats them. Someone's got to do it. And unfortunately, no one's proven to do it. So I'm going to take him. I think this is Josh Allen's best shot. I think Buffalo win? Potentially. They in theory, they got the better defense. Josh Allen and James Cook is a far better quarterback running back duo than Pacheco and Mahomes, especially since Allen can run. Not that Mahomes can't, but he can't do it without flopping on the sidelines. So, sorry. I'm sorry if there's a Chiefs fan out there watching. You're catching strays. But I just want this to be a clean called game. Just for the love. Hey, I know Buffalo allegedly has had a couple controversial calls too. I've seen people complain about the Bills getting a lot of calls too. Granted, delusional. I don't know how you can hate on the Bills. They're 0-4 in the Super Bowl. Lost all 4 in a row. So settle down. And the Lions hate too. What the heck? I get it. They're kind of annoying, but 60 years of failure. Give them a little bit of a slack, people.
Well, 61 now.
Yes. But ultimately, I hate taking the Chiefs. I have a good feeling Buffalo will win. But Buffalo's gotta prove that they can do it. For me, before I can take someone to get pick someone to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, they gotta do it. Haven't seen the last 2 years. Seeing it again right now with the Texans falling to the Chiefs. So until someone does it, I can't go against them. Um, Especially when it's close. If it's a one-score game, Mahomes has the ball with 4 minutes left. Heaven forbid he gets breathed on, and it's a life sentence for the Bills defense. So I know it's Rich, Patriot fan, complaining about refs, but I like to point out I saw a stat today that Brady, he did have favorable calls. No doubt in the postseason of his career, 5% of total penalties were in his favor in his 22-year career. So obviously that's annoying. I get it. Mahomes is 55%.
Sheesh.
He's 28, 29?
29. Yeah, 29.
How is that bad? So I know Brady's had some controversial calls. He had tuck rule. He's had a couple in the postseason that it was questionable, but it's a couple. It's not every gosh dang play. So, but yeah, long story short, I'll take the Chiefs until Buffalo can prove it. I know Josh Allen, he shows up in every playoff game except last week, and even then it was snowing. Dude, superhuman. So, as for Commanders, Eagles, I'll just say screw it. I'll go Commanders. I dissed them last week. I'll give them the respect. Will Eagles probably win? I think so. Again, as you mentioned, that rushing defense is rough. For the Commanders and Saquon, but I think there's a window of opportunity for the Commanders to win. You watched that film last week for the Eagles. I know the Rams didn't win, but it shouldn't have gotten that close to the Eagles losing. Should not have.
That's fair.
Rams
and Jalen Hurts may not be healthy. He has a knee injury that he suffered last week. So that could also play a little bit of factor.
Yeah, that could hurt him. And on top of that, it's Jalen Hurts. Fine quarterback. Good quarterback even. But you'll never, as we had talked about before, never get a special performance out of him. And that could be kind of scary considering what we just saw out of Jaden Daniels. He had 200 yards at that freaking half. Over 200 against the Lions at the half. So he is outplaying the best offense in the NFL by himself. Not by himself. Terry McLaurin is the guy. But, and whoever caught that ball, that deep ball, it wasn't Terry. I forgot his name. Apologize. But I will rock with the Commanders just because I'm loving the Jaden Daniels magic. I think he's going to continue to do special things. But, yeah, I got a feeling the Eagles will win. But I'll rock with Commanders. So I'll go Commanders, Chiefs, Super Bowl. Hoping for Bills Commanders.
Bills Commanders would be great.
So
that's America's next wanted Super Bowl.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, at the start of the year, we all knew the Commanders would be here. So totally didn't think they'd win 5 or 6 games. So, but proves that Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback of this class so far. But no Drake May Mondays. So just saying. Okay, Ben Johnson, the Bears. Will this solve the Bears' issues? I'll answer that really quickly. No, because it's the Bears. So he's a good coach, but they just have I just don't think they'll ever win until the McCaskies fall off the face of the earth, respectively. It's just one of those things. You're just being held hostage by your owners. So. Ben Johnson's a great offensive coordinator. He did a great job against the Commanders. Unfortunately, as Jared Goff, was seeing ghosts.
But after the hit he took when he was trying to,
that's fair. You know what? That is fair.
Seeing ghosts too.
If that was Mahomes, that dude would have been a death penalty on the spot. But that was a brutal hit. But yeah, I think it's a step in the right direction in theory. You just can't. Bears fans in the organization do this every year. They fire somebody, they get someone new, they get excited. Oh my gosh, we're going to win the Super Bowl. They start 3-1. and then they lose 9 in a row. And they're like, oh, we're the Bears. So, gotta prove that they can not even. If they somehow win 9 games next year, I'd be shocked. He just needs to show he can turn this team around, and develop Caleb. I think he could do that, but they'll need some help, and they need the McCaskies to be competent. So I'll let you answer Aaron Glenn to the Jets. What are you thinking there?
Yeah, so I'll go back to the Ben Johnson one real quick.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
as I think the Caleb Williams development is the biggest thing he needs to do. Um, Caleb Williams just needs to be on time. If Caleb Williams can be on time with the play calls, he will be a better quarterback. I don't think I said this before to you. I don't know if I've said this on the podcast, but I don't think the offensive line was the issue, was the full issue for the Bears. It was the fact that Caleb Williams didn't know how to play on time. Yes, Caleb Williams is special, or he can be special, and that's okay to work within it, but 90% of the time, you can't be doing all that magic. You have to be on time. There are plays, like we see with Jaden Daniels, where you can use your magic, and it works out great. But Jaden Daniels, most of the time, is on time in the pocket, which is why he's so successful. Ben Johnson, great offensive coordinator. I'm excited to see what he does as a head coach. Lions fans are upset that he went to Chicago. I understand. It's your rival. Amon-Ra St. Brown said, get used to losing two times a week to your former team, which I thought was kind of hilarious. I enjoyed that. But I think Ben Johnson is a step in the right direction. Like you said, it's the owner's got to be on it too. As for Aaron Glenn to the Jets, I think we'll know what happens when they actually hire a GM. Aaron Glenn, I think, is a good coach. I think he can do great things out in New York. The defense was a big problem this year. And so I think Aaron Glenn going there solves a little bit of that because he did have a really good defense with Detroit.
Jump in. They were actually top 10 with Salah. They took a big step back the second they fired him.
Yeah, which I think
crazy.
I mean, he's apparently reported to be rehired as the defensive coordinator out in San Fran. So
yeah, good for him.
So good for him. That San Fran defense is gonna be nasty again.
Yeah.
But I think their offense just has to figure something out. I mean, they don't. In a sense, they have Aaron Rodgers on their roster, but Aaron Rodgers can also opt out of it. So they kind of have a quarterback, but also don't have a quarterback at the same time. So they have to figure out a quarterback situation. They have the receivers. I think Devontae has another year on his contract. Whether they're trading him or not, that's a different story. So you still have Garrett Wilson. You have Breece Hall in the backfield. That's a solid start to your offense, especially if you get a quarterback in there like an Aaron Rodgers or a Kirk Cousins, a guy that is shown that he's been successful in his career. I think they can be successful. Once again, it's up to the owner and his son.
For sure. Yeah, I think the Jets, I think it's just going to come down to another owner situation. Probably the second dumbest one in the sport, in Woody Johnson. Actually, might be worse than the McCaskies now. It's really close. I'll cut the McCaskies slack. They at least won something, and they're older than dirt. So I'll at least cut them that slack. This idiot Woody Johnson is just picking players based off their Madden ratings. What a moron. So I think it's kind of Aaron Glenn's a decent defensive coordinator. I know this defense didn't play well this year, but you lose Aiden Hutchinson, within that first third or even close to half of the year. He had 8.5 sacks in roughly 7 or 8 games, so it's a really tough loss.
There's 18 guys on the IR just from the defensive side.
Right. Yeah, so he lost a lot of guys. So he did his best um, for the circumstance he was dealt with. I think he'll do a fine job. I think he deserves it. That being said, we'll see how long he lasts. So I just don't think. I think it's the Jets, man. I think it's just it's becoming one of the least desirable positions in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Same as Chicago. It's just they're just so bad at figuring out the right thing. They just screw up. You know, fall. The GMs keep screwing things up. The owners keep screwing things up, and the head coaches are kind of left out to dry. So I hope he does well. It just comes down to the GM, as you mentioned. So, okay, really quickly, I'll skip the other two NHL things. I was going to talk about Ovi getting his 875th goal. We'll talk about that next week. And Brad Marchand putting his hands around Nick Cousins' neck versus the Senators. And we're going to discuss next week whether or not he should be suspended for that. And we're going to talk about who's the most hated player in the NHL. Marchand is a pretty impressive resume for that debate, to say the least. But we'll save that for another time. I pushed this off last week, and I don't want to push it off again. So the Four Nations, basically, it's a little tournament coming up here in mid-February. Four teams: Canada, Finland, Sweden, and the U.S. facing off. And pretty much all the major stars of the league of the representative countries will be playing. So I'll go through the rosters really fast and maybe briefly go over the schedule. So it'll be from February 12th to February 20th. At least that's what the NHL is showing. Championship game, yep, on the 20th. So Canada, Sweden will kick things off. USA, Finland for the first matchup, and then Finland, Sweden. USA Canada matchup of the tournament probably. Then it'll be Canada, Finland, and Sweden, USA. So it's basically a round robin, and then top two teams will face off each other in the championship game. It does not mention anything about third place game, at least not yet. So in terms of rosters, I'll go over really quick, and then we can make our predictions who we think will win. So I'm gonna really go fast. So Team Canada forwards: Sam Bennett, Anthony Cirelli, Sidney Crosby, Brandon Hagel, R.I.P. Should still be Blackhawk. Seth Jarvis, Travis Konechny, Nathan McKinnon, Brad Marchand, Mitch Marner, Connor McDavid, Braden Point, Sam Reinhart, Mark Stone. Pretty freaking good. It's the Canadians, you know. Defensemen: Kel McCarr, Josh Morrissey, Colton Parayko, Alex Pietrangelo, Travis Sanheim, Shea Theodore, and Devin Taves. Decent defensive core. Not the best one, though. We'll see, at least in my opinion. But they do, I think, have the best forward core. And then goalies: Jordan Binnington, Aiden Hill, and Sam Montembeault for Montreal. Team Finland will be... I apologize, by the way. Y'all are hockey fans. Thoughts and prayers to me. I'm going to butcher a lot of these because I don't get to watch a ton of games. I do know a few of them, but yeah, it's a second name here. Oof. Sebastian Aho, Joel Armia, Alexander Barkov, Mikhail Granlund, Eric Holla, Rupe Hintz, shout out, Capo Caco of the Seattle Kraken, who's a point of game player right now, Patrick Laine, Arturi Leikinen, Anton Lundell, E2 Lustarainen, there's the one I didn't know, so sorry, Florida, Mikko Rantanen, and Tuvo Taravainen, shout out. Decent talent there, but does not match the talent of Canada, in my opinion. Yo, gosh. Yanni Hakanpaa. Oh, that was butch so bad. Miro Heiskanen, Esa Lindell. Yeah, a couple stars here.
Yep.
You guys like your Finland players. Oli Mata, Nico Mikola, Rasmus Ristalainen, and Juuso Välimäki. Oof. And then goalies: Blackhawk legend Kevin Lankinen, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and UC Saros. All right, Team Sweden: Victor Arvidsson, Jesper Bratt, Leo Carlson, Joel Arkinsson-Ek, Philip Forsberg, William Carlson, Adrian Kempe, Elias Lindholm, William Nylander, Gustav Nyquist, Elias Pettersson, Lucas Raymond, Mika Zibanejad. Oh, I know how to say that. I'm reading so fast. Holy crap. Zibanejad. You know what? He might as well just be called Mika Zibanejad. He's been terrible this year. Rasmus Anderson defense. Jonas Brodin, Rasmus Dahlin, Matthias Ekholm, Gustav Forsling, Blackhawk legend, Victor Hedman, and Eric Carlson. Decent defensive core. A lot of veterans there. Philip Gustafsson, Jacob Markstrom, and Linus Ullmark are their goalies. And then Team USA, baby. Matt Boldy, Kyle Connor, Jack Eichel, Jake Getzel, Jack Hughes, Chris Kreider, Dylan Larkin, Austin Matthews, JT Miller, Brock Nelson, Brady Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk, Vincent Trocheck. Canada definitely has a beat at forwards. I think USA's got the second best, although Team Sweden's got a pretty respectable forward core as well. I think they'll compete pretty well, but I think this is the best defensive core, though, that I'll bring up here. Brock Faber, Adam Fox, Noah Hannafin, best defenseman in the league debatably, Quinn Hughes. Still mad the Blackhawks didn't trade up one lousy spot to get him. One spot away, idiots. Charlie McAvoy, Jacob Slavin, did not realize he was American.
I didn't
and
either.
Zach Werenski, really, really good. That defensive core is definitely the best, in my opinion. And I think they got the best goalies, too. Just between the first two, and then the third is holding them back a bit this year, but overall, a beast. Connor Hellebuck, Jake Oettinger, and Jeremy Swayman. So I think Team USA's got the better defensive core and better. I think they definitely have the best goalies in net. It's pretty close for defensemen because I think the Finns have a really good defensive core. Team Canada too, a lot of great elite veterans there, and again, debatably has the best one in Makar. But so who do we think is gonna win? Of course, I'm gonna take USA, baby. What the heck's a kilometer? I guess that I can make it more. Yeah, I think it'll be USA Canada. I'd be a little surprised if Canada and USA didn't face off. If one of the two didn't make it, I think it'll probably be US actually. I think the forward core does worry me a little bit. Some good players there, but McDavid and McKinnon, that alone just cheat code. So really quickly, and then we'll call it a day on this episode. Sorry if it took so long, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. But who do you think's gonna win? And who's your finals? And who you got winning?
I want to say the U.S. I'm gonna actually have Finland in the finals instead of Canada. I like the Finnish D core. Like when you're able to have two Dallas Stars players on. In my opinion, if you're a coach, you're gonna put Esa Lindell and Miro Heiskanen together because they play on the same team and play together sometimes on the same core. Also, I think it's just hard because I think all four teams are great. This is going to be a great Olympics when it comes up. It's going to be fun having the NHL players in it. I think Otter and Hellebuck will carry this U.S. team because Otter is finding his stride. Hellebuck obviously always has it for some odd reason. He never turns it off.
Well, in the playoffs.
Well, some of it's not his fault either.
I know. It's a Winnipeg thing.
The Jets turn it off. But I think the D-core can help. I wish Robertson would have made this team. I think he is better than some of the names on this list. Sorry, Jason Robertson. For other people that don't know, I'm a Stars fan. He deserved to be on this team. I think he's better than some of these players that made the team. Unfortunately, I think it's because of the slow start, which makes sense. But if you look at his career, the dude's a beast. He deserved to be on this team. I hope he's on our Olympic team. He should not be left off of it. Hopefully, when the Olympics come around, some of our younger guys in the league right now will be able to make the team too, because I think some of them are also pretty nasty. Overall, it's probably going to be US, Canada, but I could also see Finland taking one of the two spots.
Agreed. I definitely say Sweden is the weakest core of the four. But I think again, it'll be really competitive. I think it'll be really fun. But Daddy was snubbed. Changed my mind. that man is had an 8 point streak on an AHL team. So
He'll make the
that
Olympic
alone
team.
should get you a spot on a team, even if I know he's Canadian, so and he's a forward, so that's really hard to do. But like, come on, you
He'll
could
make the Olympic team.
he'll make the Olympic team, but like Travis Konechny has actually had a great year. I was gonna dog on him, but Mark Stone's probably on long term IR again. Come on, but yeah. Any last thoughts? And then I think it's your before you I don't have any last thoughts, so if you have anything else before you call it a day here, just
Yeah, no, I don't think I have anything. Four Nations will be fun. I'm excited for it. It'll be better than the All-Star game, and I am very excited for that.
yep.
Other than that, we will see you guys next week. Thank you for sticking with us for an hour and 40 minutes. I know it was a long time.
It's a
So
long one.
see you
Ranting,
guys.
that's what happens.
See you guys next week.